every age, there is a cause worth fighting for. But in the future, the greatest threat to our survival will not be man at all.
Hey, kid, what's going on? It's war! We're going to war!
Now, the youth of tomorrow must travel across the stars to defend our world.
We are a generation commanded by fate to defend humankind.
Everyone fights, no one quits.
We are going in with first wave. You smash the entire area. You kill anything that has more than 2 legs. You get me? We get you, sir!
But they will face an enemy more devastating than any ever imagined.
Here they come! Mom!
Incoming!
Mayday, this is Roughneck 2.
We're under attack, sir. We need retrieval now.
Someone made a damn mistake.
The bugs laid a trap for us, didn't they?
TriStar Pictures takes you to the front lines of the next frontier.
Kill them all!
Starship Troopers.
Welcome back to the Cinema Club podcast. My name is Christopher Amick, and I'll be your host for today's episode. The Cinema Club is like a book club, but for movies. Every episode, we invite members of the Cinema Club to be co-hosts who will choose a movie or television show and join us on the podcast to talk about that film or television show. Today, I'm with Aldon and Mark, and we are covering Starship Troopers, a 1997 action sci-fi film. Mark and Aldon, this is my first time venturing into this film, but if you guys are down, I'd love to hear a little bit about your personal connections to Starship Troopers.
So I read the book back when I was 14, 15, 16, and it is probably the single most influential book I ever read. The citizenship, service equals citizenship, struck me very strongly. And I can honestly say that the Starship Troopers novel is one of the reasons I joined the Air Force, because I honestly believed that to be a good citizen, I would serve in the military to help protect the country. So it was very important for me, and I don't even know how many times I've read the books. But yeah, Starship Troopers has been a part of my life for 30 years, 34 years.
I definitely saw this movie in the theater. It is likely the very first R-rated movie I ever saw in the theater, and could be the first R-rated movie in general that I saw, at least on purpose. Big shout out to Big Tom Santasanio for bringing me and younger Tom to the theater. And about 10 minutes into the movie, him being like, the hell have I gotten myself into? Because it definitely hits the fan by that point. We're 11, 12 years old. People are getting blown apart and everything. Yeah, that was great. But I love this movie. When I just can't think of anything else to watch, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch Starship Troopers. I've always been afraid of giant bugs, and thinking about it now, because it's always been a running joke. What if hornets were the size of like German shepherds? And that really freaks me out if I think about it too long. So yeah, definitely some personal connections, which I'm sure were made from seeing this just monster of a film at 12 years old.
That's awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing. And I had forgotten that I actually read the book myself when I was either a preteen or early teen, but I never checked out the film. So I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to get around to this film. Let's do it. Yeah, Starship Troopers. Where to even begin? My first note that I wrote down was that Dizzy is thirsty as fuck for Johnny Rico. I was like, what did Mark and Aldon get me into?
Like, even during the dissection scene, they're elbow deep in a beetle, and even that is like pouring cold water on it.
It's over the top. Which I always love too when they have like very obviously full grown adults playing high schoolers as well.
Oh, in the 80s.
Not some
Yeah.
like 17, 18, 19
The 80s, it's a joke about the fact that all the teenagers from the 80s were in their mid-20s. Gave me really unrealistic expectations on what I'd look like as a teenager. They were getting a little old to be playing teenagers.
That arena football was a cool little surprise for me. I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm down for this.
Galactic space travel's fine, but they don't have like boundaries at the football game. Like they couldn't figure out fencing.
And somebody does at one point, but that's not where the movie starts. The
My first
propaganda
impression.
right off the get-go, right?
Yes.
This film is lots of propaganda. The director grew up in Holland during World War II under Nazi occupation. Some of his shots, especially in the propaganda, they're not exact shots, but if you've seen them, he definitely very much took this as a future of fascism, which is not how I read the book back in the day. Now, in hindsight, having only veterans be able to make political decisions is dangerous. There's a real reason why we have civilian oversight on the military. And I think this film actually does a very good job showing that while service and citizenship are good things, it can be very dangerous because when the only people that are in charge of the government are military, they make military decisions.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did really find the whole military recruitment propaganda aspect really interesting and how they chose to integrate that, showcasing an event occurring, especially later on in the film, and then how the public would be informed of that situation. Very problematic.
Another nice thing about the opening, though, is you get to watch the main character apparently die within the first 5 minutes. And that was, especially the day and age, that was just not something you saw. So watching it in the theater back in the day, it very much hooked me.
I felt like this film got going right out the gate. And I really enjoyed that they did that through the lens of these seniors in high school who are making the decisions that are going to lead to their career.
What was it? A fast utopia, I think was one way it was described. Everything's clean. Everything's gorgeous. You're caught for a crime, your trials for the day, or your sentencing is that day and it's filled out that day. Can we imagine a criminal system where everything would be done in 24 hours? How long does it take for a normal crime to go through
It's nuts.
the justice system? Months,
yeah.
years sometimes? And executions are public. Hey, if you kill people, you get to die and everybody gets to watch it. It's very old Western. And I like the idea of veterans teaching parts of classes.
Yeah, when he's
Every single veteran
he's made me the man I am
made
today.
me the man I am today.
Yeah, he's missing like 40 pounds worth of body parts.
Yeah, one bionic arm.
Yeah. And of course, his teacher, one of his teachers, obviously, was missing an arm. His biology teacher was blind and horribly scarred. And I did like on the oath, at least 2 years and longer if needed. Man, that is the scariest contract ever.
Oh, and God.
Go.
It's wow.
In the shower scene when they're like, hey, why did you sign up? It's so much is contingent upon have you served. There's one woman in there that says, I want to have babies. I want to get into politics and I'm going career and things like that. It all revolves around that service and making sure that is from the start all the way up through. This is the highest attainable level and this is how you get there.
I think the book actually did a little bit is at one point somebody tells Rico that since you're going to be in the military, go to officer school. And Rico's, yeah, but my 2 years is up in 6 months. The war ain't ended. You're not getting out in 6 months. They're basically signing up and they are literally putting their body on the line for the earth.
And that's the whole
huge.
aspect that makes Johnny's decision-making aspect so bizarre to me. Everyone shared why they joined up, and he did it seemingly a little bit out of a last-minute effort to impress his high school sweetheart.
Dude, it's Denise Richards. All right. I'm sure a lot of dumb has been done for Denise Richards. Everybody's beautiful in this film, too. Casper
Future's
Van
bright.
Dien, Neil Patrick Harris, Clancy Brown's in there, Highlander, the Kurgan's in there. Everybody's gorgeous in this. And some of the people's reasons are dumber than others' people's. And I think it's funny that he accuses Diz of what he did.
Yeah. When he's getting the advice to make his own decisions in life from Ratchick, I thought that was really great, even though this instructor has been very pro-military, obviously. Everybody else around him, whether it's his friends or his parents, they're all putting on him their expectations. And the lieutenant is really the only character that was really like, hey, you should make a decision for you. I did appreciate that. Those kind of things always connect with me, whether it's in some sci-fi setting like we have here or some Middle Earth-esque setting. Being able to connect with more of those human moments always really is powerful to me. So I appreciated that. But yeah, again, Johnny is joining basically to impress his girlfriend. I could tell that shit was going to go south for him real quick. And then from there, we see everybody starting their basic training. And that goes south for Johnny fairly quickly.
They fly around in space. Johnny's running around learning how to shoot stuff.
They do
People on
have
steroids.
medical technology, though. You know, to be fair,
Put your head up against that wall.
when he like throws the knife right through, and then as efficient as their court system is, and they can repair you too, which also feeds into, yeah, you're just more meat for the grinder. It's going to be fine. You get zapped and everything, but eventually you do get to the live ammo, get into that part and everything. But it's curious as to why they felt that was necessary when they had all the tech that they could be training without that.
And I do figure that it is part of the just the sets and pure budget. But the fact that they were doing live fire drills in the middle of the camp is terrifying.
Yes.
But that was a great boot camp horror story, right? It very much shows people that going through boot camp can kill you. And I still joined.
Leading up to the live ammo practice drill, Johnny's definitely got the support of his girlfriends and everything. And then he gets the promotion and rank and is, okay, yeah, you get to lead this live ammo squad, and makes a very human error, a flawed one, and a rookie one. We have a lot of crazy sci-fi stuff going on, but what really carries the film is all the human interactions that are occurring, whether it's the other members of his squad or the lieutenants. When things don't go well and one of his comrades is killed.
I think Johnny was done. He'd realized that he'd made a bad choice
think.
to sign up.
Yes, wrong reasons to sign up.
And then he made a bad choice and it killed someone. I obviously feel bad for the guy that died.
Oh, yeah.
But I think if that rock had hit the ground, because he wouldn't have changed his mind before he walked out the ropes, only because his parents were killed, he decided to stay in the military. Because at that point, he had nothing to lose, and he wanted revenge.
I guess I was looking at it more like his drill sergeant believed in him, the commanding officers believed in him, but he didn't believe in himself. But then, like you said, there was that huge...
I think, wasn't he? Because they were like, we could save him. And then they were like, all right, here's the whipping. And they whipped him a bunch. And he's like, here, bite down on this. And then...
Which was awesome of them.
Yeah, another human moment.
Yeah.
I've been there. Here, eat this pencil eraser or whatever it was. And then he was leaving again. Then
There's the accident. Then there's basically him in front of the commander, and they decide on administrative punishment.
Yeah.
He gets whipped. They could have executed him. They could have sent him to jail. They decided on administrative punishment instead of a court martial.
Then kick him out.
He had to go through that. Then he decided to quit.
He got whipped, and then he was leaving again. Because they say washout lane like 14 times, and that always makes me laugh. Because there's no other name for it. They have to refer to it as that. And yeah, then the bomb comes, or the rock or whatever. And then he's like, look, we ripped up your thing or something.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
You didn't send those papers?
Then you get all the politics of the propaganda of the teacher outside with her students as they're stomping on cockroaches and her cheering and laughing. And the only good bug is a dead bug. Whenever humans go to war, you always see these things. World War I, there was songs about how to go kill Germans. The dehumanizing and lessening of your opponent to make it easier to kill them. My thing about The Rock, though, so they show you a galaxy map at one point, and here's Earth, and here's Clondathu. And the bugs are shooting rocks from Clondathu across the galaxy to hit Earth, right?
Yeah.
They're somehow able to accelerate a rock to relativistic speeds, which is insane. a rock going at the speed of the light goes across the galaxy is going to take a couple hundred years. Is the meteorite actually hitting Earth and wiping out Buenos Aires? Because Earth is big, right? When we're on the other side of the galaxy, throwing a rock at another rock, being able to poke that city right there. So was it a false flag? Because we knew that the arachnids were basically interstellar colonizing by sending their babies basically on asteroids that they were launching out of their own system. So I honestly wonder if that was a false flag, because they would have had to shoot it 100 years ago, 200 years ago at a minimum to get it to us, or they would have to get it faster than light travel, which the bugs didn't have that technology, or they would have had spaceships, right? And the bugs actually attacking Earth and being able to hit a major metropolitan city.
These are valid points.
Sorry, paranoid Mark.
They didn't mean to do it. It's all just a big misunderstanding. That's what this whole thing is. I think these people in this movie are jerks now.
So the galaxy is about 100,000 light years apart from edge to edge. So let's just say that we're only halfway apart from each other. That's 50,000 light years. That means that if something was accelerated at the speed of light 50,000 years ago, it would hit us.
Yeah, bugs didn't do it.
Yeah, the bugs didn't do it.
They didn't do it.
Or they had another planet much closer to us that we weren't aware of.
It was either like a different base potentially, or I definitely had a thought process while I was watching the film that maybe it was just a situational bad timing thing where this asteroid hit Earth and then the military utilized that for propaganda. That was what I was guessing, but that never really panned out. So I was like, okay, I guess not. But now that we're actually like deep diving into it, it's definitely making me rethink it again.
So we'll talk about the sequels later, but it's at least touched on in the sequels to some extent that maybe everything that's happening isn't completely on the up and up. But what I will say on the sequels is, except for the animated one that came out next, Starship Troopers Chronicles back in 2000, all of the sequels are ass.
I was super excited after I finished the film. Like, I got to watch the rest of these. And then I was looking up the ratings and I was like, maybe not.
Every single one of them has something good about them that you can take. One thing you can say about the 97 movie is that the bugs looked amazing. They did a lot of practical effects where you'd actually see the teeth attacking people and claws attacking people. And the digital effects were honestly pretty damn good, especially for a pre-2000 movie.
Yeah.
Not as good as Jurassic Park, but at least it's in the neighborhood. Hero of the Federation, which was 2004, and Marauder, which is 2008. On the other hand, all the films still have machine guns and explosions. If that's what you want out of a film, you're going to get it.
I watched the animated one in college.
Roughnecks?
Yeah, the conditions of my viewing were such that I do not remember any of it.
Yeah. It came out in 99. The animation is very much 1999, 2000. And it's a shame because the animation is so bad and so limited that it actually makes it hard to watch. The troops had jump packs, which always talked about in the books is that they would jump around, and they had power armor units, which had heavy weapons like Marauders. The cartoons, the Roughneck Starship Trooper Chronicles, is much truer to the book than the 97 movie was. It's hard to watch because it's 24-year-old animation.
That was one aspect that while I was watching the film, I was trying to remember because like it's been like probably 15 years since I read the book, honestly. But I do remember them having more tech, like the humans, when it came to at least like armor, if I remember correctly. They could like actually move around and fight a little bit better.
They were orbital drop troops. They were dropping power armor. Every single one carried nuclear weapons. They always carried flamethrowers. They had hand-to-hand combat weapons, but the bugs also had guns. And there was a third enemy called the Skinnies, which you only see them in Roughneck Starship Trooper Chronicles. The fact that the CGI'd bugs were so well done, if they tried to double it, they would have doubled the budget by having CGI'd power armor people running around. And a lot of the tension and stress would have gone away.
So they didn't add the armor later on in 2008 film?
For Starship Troopers 3, Marauder actually did have power armor running around in it. Then the Roughnecks is a very dynamic show. People bouncing around doing stuff and fighting. But it's the middle ground between the 97 Starship Troopers and the book. I think it's the best way to put it.
And it's only one book?
Starship Troopers is one book.
Yes, this is making me want to read the book, honestly, all these years later, because I really had a good time with the movie. Before we continue with our discussion, I did want to take a moment to express our gratitude to the amazing supporters of the Cinema Club. Your ongoing contributions are the backbone of our podcast, helping us cover the costs of software and editing subscriptions that are essential for crafting each episode. For those who are really enjoying the show and wish to further support us, even a small commitment of 99 cents a month can make a significant difference. Simply head over to our website and click on the Support This Podcast button. You can find us at podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/The Cinema Club. Thank you so much for being a vital part of our community. And now let's jump back into the discussion. Speaking of effects, it was very 90s special effects, but I think that was part of the charm, part of the reason why I really liked it.
28 because of a year in production.
Yeah. So many years later and watching it for the first time, there were so many elements of it that just hit for me because I think it was like, at least for me, coming across as a very 90s film, which they're awesome to go back and watch, especially for the first time, because they just don't make films like that anymore.
A lot of it too, even when they were making that, I was reading, is the director had said they had like free reign over what they were doing because the production company was like going through so many different like high level staff that nobody was really supervising what they were doing. It just fell through the cracks. And then by the time anybody caught on, they were like, look, we already got the rough cut of the movie. We spent all this money. It's pretty much made. So yeah, like, it just adds to that. There is definitely that 90s feel with them. They got to go a little like extra gonzo with it because no one was paying enough attention to be like, hey man, maybe don't do this.
Oh, and another thing that had been mentioned about the film in production is the fact that it was incredibly whitewashed, which was intentional. For example, Johnny Rico is one.
Yeah.
The choice was very much made to do as much blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, gorgeous white people as possible. Carl at one point looks like he could have walked out of a World War II movie.
They were calling him Doogie Himmler
intentionally
on
done.
set.
Doogie Himmler, right?
But
those
credit,
decisions
though,
made.
With the whitewashing stuff, you do have high-ranking military officials that are women. You do have people of color as well. So it's not impossible to rise through the ranks. And same thing with the grunts as well. What's his name? Kitten, I think. So you do have them, but absolutely everybody's gorgeous. It's like throughout the whole thing, it's just glistening bodies shooting bugs. So it's like, how did you get to that point in society, though?
I'm sorry. Did you seriously say glistening bodies shooting bugs?
Damn, I did.
Actually speaks very well of the fascist utopia that everybody is truly equal. I think the shower scene actually covers that very well. It's not even a thing that there's a whole bunch of naked people around. They're just showering. The football team. There's female players on the football teams. There's female squad leaders. There's female lieutenants. The general that Sky Marshal ends up taking over is a black female.
So the director purposely went out of his way to point towards Nazi Germany as much as he could in the film.
As like a critique and warning of, he said American society. I think somebody else on the film has said just human nature in general, but this is the direction we're heading. Because he's gone on record being like, this is a satire. And it blows my mind that so many people don't realize that this is satire, because he did grow up in occupied Holland and everything. It was very conscious to show that kind of thing, especially with Carl in the SS kind of uniform and everything, wanting to be like, watch out, man, because this is what's going to happen. Like, we are in this utopia, but all it's good for is just killing bugs. So it's very thought out with that.
Very intentional.
I definitely was picking up some of that on a minor level, that it was intended to be more of a satirical take on the future military. Another aspect of going back to an older film, watching it for the first time, it's always fun for me, is seeing all the actors that I'm familiar with in projects that came out in the last 15 years, let's say, as little babies, basically, in something like this, where Dean Norris popping up as the command officer was pretty cool. Mostly was familiar with his work in the Breaking Bad series. And then Seth Gilliam, I believe. Sugar Watkins was cool to see. And I'm really familiar with his work in The Walking Dead, but he's quite a bit older in The Walking Dead. So seeing him pop up in Starship Troopers was honestly pretty cool.
There's a female pilot too. I'm like, I know her. Like, where is she from? And then I know she's got like a bigger career later on too. Everybody's got to get their start somewhere. So it's cool seeing him pop up later and being like, yeah, you were covered in bug juice for a while there.
What's Dina Meyer? I'd seen her for the first time that I remembered Johnny Mnemonic back in 95. I was really excited to see her in another film and fell in love with her then. She's even better now. Some of these actors, they were nobody. And then you get to see them in this kind of a film. About the film itself, they go to Planet Big K, horrible things happen. You see Johnny almost lose his leg. That obviously affects Denise Richards' character. They meet Lieutenant Ratchick and the Roughnecks. Then they go on a bug planet. They end up getting ambushed. And you have the big battle scene of the entire movie. Big swarms of bugs, flying bugs, light machine guns up in the tower. Almost everybody dies. I think they walk into that fortress with 30, 40 people and a dozen get out of it. Every single battle, there are body parts flying. There is bugs being dismembered. It's a gory movie, honestly, when it comes down to it. It's pretty awesome
to see in the theater.
Great for a 12-year-old to see in the theater.
So they're walking to that ambush, right? And Ratchick's like looking around and he sees one of the flying bugs on the ridge line. And he's like, hey, radio guy, why don't you go check out the higher ground? He just like friggin' sacrifices that guy. He knows that thing is up there. He's just like, that guy pissed him off or something, just sends him up, and then he just guns him right in the chest.
In defense of going ahead and shooting the radio guy and enduring his suffering, if you watch it again, the dude is like dying and screaming, and nobody's going to get up there in time to save him. Put him out of the Come on, man. You didn't have to sacrifice me.
Put him up there in the first place.
You just wanted to, I expect you guys to shoot me if this is happening.
Yeah, it was a teaching moment.
Teaching.
Now, he's full of great, impactful decisions and remarks. What's to say that Johnny never pass up a good thing?
Like when Johnny and Dizzy are in the tents and he walks in and he's like, who's that with you? And then he says, okay, well, report in 20 minutes then.
It's not like planetary survival's on the line or anything.
Nah, hey, we got to make sure our sergeant gets laid.
He'd be like, oh, yeah, definitely got to report to get murdered right away.
Yep.
Sir.
But yeah, so thankfully, Ratchick did make sure that Johnny didn't die. We know he wasn't a virgin because his father was out of town that one night after he swore he was joining the military. Anyway, hormones are dumb. All right, I'm just going to say that. And people make dumb decisions, and there we go. Yeah, I did enjoy watching the general absolutely lose his shit that they rescued. And
Yeah.
Ratchick was going to shoot him.
Blast him.
Sir, you can't shoot him. And then him getting squished by a bug. I was laughing the entire time.
But soldiers were laughing at him getting squashed too.
You got fucking Wile E. Coyote.
Introduced that element of the bugs drilling into people's brains, though. I think that definitely was important to set up the big bad bug or the big smart bug toward the end of the film. I thought it was a really interesting aspect that we didn't really get very much more information on.
So the general says they get in your brain and they cause the commo guy to call in their help request. What I remember of the second movie is that seems to be what a lot of it was about. I do remember there being bugs that would get inside people's brains and cause them to do stuff. So I think that comment, that kind of throwaway comment, was part of the reason the second movie happened.
So now, do you think it was because they got the big fat bug at the end with the thing, the little drill, and it very clearly sucks out Xander's brain because his cheeks are all sunken in and everything. And then they also had one, they were like, oh yeah, look, there's nothing in here. They're like digging in the guy's skull, I think at the outpost. So do you think it's like, all right, it pops the thing in, controls you. Is it the same fat ass bug that's making them do stuff that's eating their brain?
So the eating the brain is supposed to be the brain bug, and it's eating the brains to understand humans.
Yeah.
The mind control bit that the general was specifically talking about was a new bug, a small bug that would get inside people. I don't want to say that they were blatantly ripping off aliens, but when you have a human walk over to another human and like mouth lock them and a bug goes from one to the other while the other person's screaming, that's good horror, but that's it. And that bug does control people. But yeah, that is the only time, to my knowledge, in Starship Troopers 2 Hero of the Federation, they at least go into the bugs that can control other people.
Because there's obviously a lot more kinds. You got flying ones. I was reading, they had to trim a couple of seconds off to avoid an NC-17 rating when somebody gets decapitated by one of the wings. And then the version that you see on TV on FX includes those 4 seconds. So like the TV version has the scene that they cut out to keep it from being NC-17. But yeah, you got the flying ones, you got the little grunty guys that are running around, the arachnid looking ones. that tanker one, huge dude that could somehow like shoot fire, Mars Attack style.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
And the
Yeah,
plasma
that's
bugs.
right. Yeah, shooting that.
And the worker bugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because the one they're dissecting at the beginning
Do you
was a
think
worker
that's
bug. The brain bug was riding on a carpet of them.
carried around like Xerxes?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think the little guys would eventually grow up into the big tankers that they were dissecting? No, that's preposterous.
No, we have worker ants and we have warrior ants. And some ants, obviously all ants have queens, right? But you also have the male ants, the kings. Some ants will have royal guards, if I remember right, bigger, scarier than warrior ants. A worker ant just doesn't become a queen ant. That has to happen earlier. So I wouldn't think the little guys will grow up to be the big guys. I think they're just worker bugs.
I think it's beautiful all these bugs are working together because they're all obviously very different species and they're not attacking each other. They've learned to put aside their differences
Cooperation.
and get along.
The thought of a bug that thinks.
Apparently they just bombed your whole city.
We've established already that was an accident. But they're all working together and everything's neat. They all come together. And I think that's something to celebrate.
The flying ones and the warrior ones are similar because their heads are the same, right? But the flying ones have wings and a stinger, and the warriors don't. It is nice to see all the different bugs.
Variety.
Yeah, definitely. I liked how dramatic all of the kills were for the big tank bugs that we encountered. Like taking them down was so over the top. Loved it.
So one of the funny things is in the books, they didn't need tanks, like human tanks, because they had power armor. Every man was a walking tank. So I'm watching the Battle of Clondathu and I'm like, where's the armor? Where are the tanks? Where are the armored vehicles that launch with flamethrowers built in? The only time human weaponry, besides what the people are carrying, are when you have the fighters go over and do firebombing.
Very ill prepared.
Very.
Yeah.
The other hand, it was nice watching them launch nukes at everything.
Yeah,
there we go.
It's not a concern.
They really are,
But you know what?
meat grinding up these soldiers. Like,
But you know what? The
admit it,
humans
you
are
have
actually
to admit it.
superior. Oh, yeah, they admit it. But the humans are actually superior. Johnny Rico flips over 6 feet tall people. He flips over walls at one point. They are physically superior. Heck, Ibanez ends up taking a claw through her shoulder, and 20 minutes later, she's running around shooting stuff. Sure, she's shooting it like this, but come on. I can't hold a gun one-handed full auto. I'm not that good, which means they've probably been genetically modified at some point, which maybe they are radiation resistant.
Where are they keeping all the bullets? Because it seems
In
a couple
the
times
magazine?
this movie had more rounds fired than any other movie up to this point in history. What? You can't, I don't know how many bullets are in like a magazine or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's like 30. So everybody's running around like, where are they getting all the reloads and everything? Because they're out there just, oh, against them. And they're shooting for like 40 minutes straight. Nobody's really reloading.
Very 80s.
Somehow, yeah, like Rambo, like never reloading, but just constant supply. But is the gun tech like, my gun is somehow 3D printing my bullets while I'm shooting them and something like that? So these are the problems that I have. My suspension of disbelief ends with the practical stuff. Like, you didn't reload, man. Like, how does that work?
A normal magazine holds really between 30 and 50 rounds for a rifle that size. And I could see we say it's high tech, maybe it doubles that. But 100 bullets is only 100 bullets.
It goes so fast.
It's conventional bullets.
They weren't like laser.
No, that was the second movie.
I need
Did
to
like
like
practice rounds that we're using? In the
Yeah,
boot
playing
camp?
laser
Like that?
tag.
Or is it worse?
They have these guns, and the guns actually look pretty cool. At the end is a white block, right? Circular cylinder. And then there's like a netting mesh over it, and they pull the trigger, and the white lights up. And that's the gun shooting. They have an LED that lights up this white block at the end of the gun. It's bad.
A little cheesy.
Third movie at least has mecha in it.
Joke's on us. This is what guns are going to look like in the future.
There were different versions of the gun, though. You had the long rifle for the troopers, while the officers and the fleet had the short barrel ones.
Your radio man.
Yeah. But and sniper rifle version. And then you did have the mounted 50 calibers, the twin 50 cals. Like, that was cool.
And then in the same sequence, I thought the way that Izzy went out was really sad, honestly.
So I had read the book about a month before the movie came out. Dizzy dies on the way to the dropship, the pickup boat. And that's how they start the book, right? So I'm sitting there and she throws the grenade and she blows up and she's running and my brain went, and Dizzy died on the way to the dropship. And then I'm like, no, and then dead. So
Just stop.
she
She
was
was
the
so
best part of
sad
the
when
film.
that happened. I'm still impacted every time she dies.
Yeah, seriously.
Mission accomplished. Thing
Her
all
life
the time.
mission was
I love
accomplished.
it. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be starting quarterback for arena football, and those are my goals.
No, she was the best part of the film.
Oh, yeah.
Even though she started out as annoying to me, 'cause she was so over the top for Johnny. I was like, okay, no one is this obsessed with somebody. I know this is high school, but like still. But yeah, no, I definitely agree she's the best part of the film. But yeah, then Izzy dies on the flight out of there. Remember her
Carmen
name,
finds out
but-
Rico's still alive.
Carmen, yeah. Which, that was interesting that they played into Johnny deciding to go rescue Carmen. Really thought that maybe still wasn't in love with her, but it seems like he was, or at least somewhat cared about her.
But you got to be like, maybe.
You got to imagine if you went and actually rescued her, that your stock and chance of getting her back as yours would go up. And we're just going to say it's mind control. And
Yeah, I
Carl
was going to
wanted
say,
to
do
rescue
you
her
think,
because Carl.
he went willingly? You're the one that told me where she was. And then he goes and finds her and everything.
Maybe Carl just wanted her rescued so he'd get a chance.
Carl is just a
Sorry, your
giant
unit
bitch.
got the short end of the stick.
Continuously.
Carl's just been mad. The whole thing is a revenge plot by Carl to ruin Johnny Rico because he's getting all the girls back in Buenos Aires. Carl's the one that launched that meteor. Carl's the one that sent him to the thing. Why now?
Carl.
Yeah, Carl's the mastermind of this whole bad thing.
Okay, so going into the more films and stuff and the animated films, at one point the Federation becomes a religious federation. I don't remember if it's Starship Troopers Invasion, which is 2012 animated, or Traitor of Mars 2017. Like, humans could have won the war, but bugs were brought onto Mars and allowed to colonize so that there would always be an enemy nearby that humanity had to fight so that the military could stay in power. It's not inaccurate to say that the possibility of the military manipulating things or the government manipulating things is very strong. Carl was under orders for the first 2 or 3 things. After that, in Traitor of Mars, Carl has a change of heart and is doing his best to save Rico.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I will say that I liked the messaging at the end of the film where we have these 3 friends that started at the very beginning of the film, entering into Academy as equals in regards to life status, everything like that. And then at the end of the film, even though they're all in very different branches of the military and they all hold different levels of power, that the 3 of them are still all friends and still close to one another at the end of the day. I thought, that was a nice way to end things. Even if, Johnny Rico's character has had such a shit time of things throughout the entire film compared to the other 2 characters.
He's the only one that had a hard time.
I've been in space the whole time.
Yeah, military's great.
Harmon did get shot out of the sky.
This guy's
And then
brain
stabbed,
sucked out.
brain sucked out once or twice.
Who among us hasn't been stabbed in the shoulder while our lover has had his brain sucked out?
I've never had those things happen at the same time.
Yeah.
Relatable content.
Not
Yeah.
not
at the
her,
same
at least.
time.
Certainly not.
Johnny gets the short end of the stick the entire film.
Yeah. Which is parents are rich.
Like,
That doesn't happen.
Actually, one thing that I saw, because I watched the film today and remembered, he was supposed to go on a trip to Zagama Beach. And if he had gone on the trip, there's a good chance he would have been off planet, even though his parents had gotten killed in Buenos Aires. When he joins the Roughnecks, the guy with the sniper rifle, I cannot remember his name. He mentions that he'd fought at Zagama Beach. He's, oh, what's it like? I always wanted to go there. And he said, it's gone. So if Johnny had gone on that trip or he had returned home, Johnny would be dead. And it was only by going into the military that allowed him to survive.
It was his stick-to-itiveness that saved him.
He didn't have any parents died.
All right. I tried to quit at every opportunity.
Sucks.
Someone died. I guess I'll go home.
Oh,
Oh, my parents died?
no more
I had a really
football
good time
backup.
with the film. I really enjoyed it.
No.
I was like, dang, I'm going to have to revisit this at least every couple of years because I loved it, honestly. It was
I probably
great.
watch it every few months. I don't
Yeah,
know.
about
I,
every
like,
other year for me.
yeah, I'll throw it on just in the background at work if I'm can't find anything else and I need something going. I'm like, oh, I'll just throw on Starship Troopers. It'll be great. It seems like a weird comfort movie because there's really nothing positive about it.
Comfort show.
Yeah, good movie.
I can say the 1999-2000 Roughnecks, as old and dated as the animation style is, story-wise, it's actually pretty decent. In fact, there was a miniature combat board game based off of pretty much the Roughnecks. The miniatures look the same. The bugs look like the same bugs. If you can find the Roughnecks, it is good storytelling, but the animation style is just incredibly dated. Now, that being said, the 2012 and 2017 animated films are visually gorgeous.
Are those connected to any other Starship Trooper films?
Animateds are supposed to be Starship Troopers 97, 2, 2004, 3, 2008, Invasion 2012, and Traders of Mars 2017. Those are all supposed to be the same universe. The Rico, Johnny Rico you get in 2012 and 2017 has a patch. I mean, he's obviously been in it for a while. Casper Van Diem voices the 2017 one. In fact, Dina Meyer even makes it into the 2017 one. And it's the only other one she's ever been in. But like I said, visually, those guys are gorgeous. Story's a little meh. I did learn today that there was actually an anime series in 1988 made, and it's 6 episodes. And good luck finding it.
And then I'm assuming the sequel to Starship Troopers itself just really wasn't received very well. Is that correct?
It was panned when it came out. It did get a lot of that criticism for being like, why are you glorifying fascism? Like, a lot of that happened when it came out. I don't know if being a fan base is really the right way to describe it until a little bit later when people were like, oh yeah, all right. But I've always felt like they should do more. This is awesome. So many more bugs than people too, man. They would win. Even on our planet now, man, if they got organized, they'd take us down so quick. What is there, like 400 billion ants on the planet or something like that? It's crazy. It's an astronomical number. And you're smiling about this, Chris, man. If they unionize, we are doomed, my friend. You got a little baby you got to think about, too.
To consider.
Well, Mark and I have already given up.
Hey, mine's 14.
On his own.
He's doing good.
If he wants to wear a flea collar, I'm for it.
I remember seeing something, maybe it was at the Smithsonian, the total tonnage of mammals on the planet, the total tonnage of humans on the planet, and then the total tonnage of insects on the planet. And here's the bugs.
Yeah, I'm so happy the Smithsonian has come up in conversation about Starship.
I should wrap up and take care of baby. But yeah, maybe that's why it's got such a high rewatchability aspect to it as well. And for me, like watching it for the first time, it definitely stood up in regard to still being very applicable, very enjoyable, great popcorn movie 27 years later. Had a great time with it. I was like, man, we got to get more of these kind of movies. And I just go back and watch more 90 films that I haven't watched before.
That was the best because like action movies are like, everybody's going to get punched. We're going to swear. We're going to blow stuff up. Like, it was just great. Like, they don't do that the same now.
More of a just turn your brain off, eat popcorn kind of experience. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you both. First of all, recommending the film, but then getting together and spitballing our thoughts and theories. We had a lot of theories on the film as well. Happy to dive into film with you.
If you ever want to watch dumb, like really bad, dumb movies and talk about those, yeah, I'm happy to do that.
So
I'm on Tubi now.
I just downloaded that.
Awesome.
Thank you both so much for doing this. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. And we'll catch you guys all next time.
All right, cool. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Cinema Club. If you'd like to join us on the show in the future, please email us at thecinemaclubtcc@gmail.com. And if you haven't already, I'd highly encourage you to join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/thecinemaclubtcc. It's where we unveil what movies and television series we will be covering in our upcoming episodes. Also, while you're likely enjoying this episode on your preferred streaming platform, remember that the Cinema Club is available on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and now on YouTube at the Cinema Club Podcast. Don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes as well, as your feedback truly makes a difference. Lastly, I want to express our gratitude to listeners like you who support us. If you love the show, please consider visiting our website and clicking the Support This Podcast button. You can find us at podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/The Cinema Club. Even a contribution of 99 cents a month directly fuels the growth and upkeep of the Cinema Club podcast. Again, a big heartfelt thank you to those of you who already support the Cinema Club financially, and we'll catch you on the next one.